Question 16, 1,273 divided by 25. Now, we're going to do a chunking method here. Remind you of what the chunking method is. Anytime you're dividing by a two-digit number, and 25 is a two-digit number. So the chunking method is basically repeated subtraction. So we are going to repeatedly subtract chunks of 25 until we get as low as we can, as quickly as we can. So we need to talk about what the chunks of 25 are. So we always do the same chunks. We do 1 lot of the number, 10 lots of the number, 100 lots, 2 lots, 20 lots, 200 lots, and 5 lots. There are other chunks you can do, but generally, if you stick to these chunks, you will be able to get an answer. So when we talk about chunks, we're talking about chunks of the number divided by, so it's chunks of 25 in this case. So I could write times 25 on all these arrows, but as long as you realize that we're doing chunks of 25, we don't really need to write times 25 on them all. So 1 lot of 25 is 25. 10 lots of 25 is 250. 100 lots of 25 is 2,500. 2 25s is 50. 20 lots of 25 is the same as this 2 lots, 50, but it's 10 times bigger, so it needs another 0 on the end, 500. 200 lots of 25 is the same as 2 lots of 25, which is 50, but with 2 zeros on the end. So that's going to be 2 extra zeros on the end. So it's going to be 5,000. So 200 times 25 is 5,000. And 5 lots of 25 is going to be 125 because it's half of 10 lots. Half of 250 is 125. Now we're going to set up the division. So it's going to be 1,273 divided by 25. And as I said, we are going to repeatedly subtract the largest chunk that we can. So what's the largest chunk in this list of chunks of 25 that we can actually take away from 1,273? Well, are there any, first of all, that are no good to us? Well, 5,000 is no good because that's already bigger than 1,273. 2,500 is no good because that's already bigger than 1,273. So you might say, well, why did we do them then if they're no good? Well, sometimes having a chunk of 100 and a chunk of 200 will actually help you. It depends on the numbers. So it's always useful to do them anyway. So the biggest number that we've actually got is this 500 here that we can take away from 1,273. So let's do that. So we're going to take away 500. So take away 500. Always remember to write down what chunk of 25 that actually is. Well, that 500 is a chunk of 20. So stick a little times 20 at the side. That'll come into play shortly. And now take it away. 3 take away 0 is 3. 7 take 0 is 7. 2 take 5 we can't do, so borrow. 12 take 5 is 7. And 0 take 0 is 0. So we're down to 773. Now we're trying to take away the biggest chunk that we can so that we get as low as we can, as quickly as we can. We're trying to get down to 0. If we get down to 0, that means there's no remainder left at the end. If we don't get down to 0 and there's something left, that means there is a remainder at the end. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So we're down to 773. What can we take away now? Well, we can take away another chunk of 500 again. So take away another chunk of 500, and that means you're taking away another chunk of 20 25s. So what do we get if we take another 500 off? 3 take 0 is 3, 7 take 0 is 7, 7 take 5 is 2. So we're down to 273. So now we look again. What's the biggest number we can take off 273? Well, this 500 is no good now because that's bigger than 273, so we might as well cross it out. But what we can, the next biggest one that's left is 250. So we take away 250 next, and that is a chunk of 10. So put a little times 10 at the side, and then we'll take this away. So 3 take away 0 is 3. 7 take away 5 is 2, and 2 take away 2 is nothing. So we're down to 23. So we now say, well, what can we take away from 23? Now we've got a problem now because 125 is no good because that's bigger than 23. 50 is no good because that's bigger than 23. 250 is no good because that's bigger than 23. And 25 is no good. That's bigger than 23. So actually there are no chunks left to take away. So that means we've got as low as we can. So that means that this 23 that's left is actually our remainder. It's a remainder 23. So what we need to do now, there's one step left, as we add up the chunks. These are the chunks that we wrote in green here. So we took a chunk of 20, another chunk of 20, another chunk of 10. So 20 plus 10 was 50. So it's 50 lots of 25, but then there's a remainder of 23. So it's 50, remainder 23. And because we were dealing with 25ths, if we're dividing the whole thing by 25, the remainder needs to be divided by 25 as well. And that is your final answer. So the answer to 1,273 divided by 25 is that there are 50 25s in there, but there would be a remainder of 23. And as a fraction, that remainder of 23 is 23 25ths. Final answer, 50 and 23 25ths.